Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, you want the exact amount, you get the exact amount. You want at least 1,000 words? I can give you at least 1,000 words. Not feeling safe? I'll stare at you. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. You want the exact amount, you get the exact amount. When I was 13 or 14, I decided I wanted a PS3. My dad refused to buy me one, but my uncle made me an offer I couldn't refuse. He said that if I worked at his sweet shop for the 2 months of summer break, he would buy me a PS3 and some games in lieu of payment. For teenage me with no commitments, this seemed fantastic. My uncle sold a kind of specialty snack known as a mini samosa in his shop. They are like samosas, but smaller, about 3.5 to 4 centimeters in size, about 1/2286 of a football field for my American friends. They were sold by weight, in sealed packs of 250 GMS and 500 GMS, as these were the most common amounts people bought. Making those packages turned out to be my job. You see, sometime between now and when Uncle started his business, he realized that 250 GMS was roughly the weight of 28 mini samosas, and thus 56 were 500 GMS. So instead of weighing each packet, I was told to just pack by counting individual items, which was easier and saved time. We also sold them individually for people who wanted larger, smaller, or unusual amounts. This was also around the time when our government started airing customer awareness PSAs, Jago Grahak, Jago for my fellow Indians. Basically, just telling customers to beware of fraudulent business people. This is relevant. So, one particularly hot afternoon, it was just me and my uncle at the shop. In India, frequent power cuts were very common during summers, and thus there were no fans or AC running. Both tempers and temperatures were running high at the shop that day. It was then that the villain of our story, Mr. Karen, made his entry. He was a local resident and a regular. He seemed angry from the onset when he barged into the shop. He took a look at the fans and saw that they weren't running, then angrily picked up a 500 GM pack of samosas and asked, "How many samosas are in this thing?" "That's 500 GMS, I said. I said how many, not how much," Mr. Karen literally screamed. "Again, how many in this?" 56, I replied immediately, since, I packed them. "How can you be so sure? You didn't even count. You're trying to cheat me." Mr. Karen was now in full-scale Karen mode. "I demand you pack me 500 GMS of those individual ones, and don't you dare cheat me again." I looked over at my uncle, wet with sweat, fanning himself with yesterday's newspaper. He slowly nodded. I beamed a huge smile. "Sure, sir. Whatever you want." So I took a bag, picked up some samosas, and started putting them on the balance. I kept counting samosas as I put them in until they were a little over 500 GMS. Then I removed the last samosa and the weight fell below 500. Now, keeping eye contact with Mr. Karen, I crushed the samosa and started putting its powdery remains in the bag until it was exactly 500 GMS. But wait, there's more. Mr. Karen apparently didn't seem to mind powdered samosa, but instead asked smugly, "So how many samosas now?" 48, I claimed triumphantly. You see, sometime in the past, my uncle's old chef retired and the new chef made samosas with a little bit more filling in them. They looked the same size on the outside and only weighed a couple grams more each, and since he made them in bulk and also sold to other shops in the area, the price wasn't too much of an issue. So my uncle let it slide. But those couple grams added up on mass orders, and that is what Mr. Karen found out the hard way. He looked sheepishly at the pre-packed samosas and then at his own package and asked if he could buy the former instead. "No, my nephew made a package specially for you, at your own request. So that is what you have to buy," my uncle finally spoke. Mr. Karen silently took his pack, paid and left. He was a lot more respectful during his subsequent visits. I was reminded of this story yesterday when my PS3 finally died. As evident, English is not my first language, in fact, it's not even my third. So please excuse any mistakes. The tone you use and the recipe included at the end makes this weirdly heartwarming. Good storytelling. Thanks. You're very kind. No, this is how recipes are shared on the internet. There's always a story between the cooking steps. Good story. Your English was perfectly understandable and clear. Mr. Karen got more than just samosas that day, he got a serving of humble pie as well. At least the humble pie was free. No, it wasn't free. It was 6 samosas worth of humble pie. Must be good samosas if he kept coming back. Good story, thank you. Your English is as excellent as this story. Love it. Feels wholesome. Your English and grammar is better than most native speakers, you should be confident with it. Also, great story. You want at least 1,000 words? I can give you at least 1,000 words. My workplace has a mandatory 2-day orientation for new hires. When I was brought on, there were a bunch of scheduling issues and the dates changed several times. I got confused and only attended one of the days as I didn't realize it was a 2-day event. About a month after getting hired, I get an email from HR. Hello, our records indicate you were not present for the first day of mandatory employee orientation. Here is the link to the event recording. Since you missed attending in person, you are additionally required to write a minimum 1,000-word reflection on the most impactful session. For some reason, the minimum 1,000-word requirement made me see red. I was a fully grown adult being treated like a high schooler, made to write lines on the board because I missed class. I could understand making me watch the orientation, even though I had been doing my job just fine for 4 weeks. But do something reasonable like some very specific fill-in-the-blank questions just to prove I watched it. A 1,000-word minimum was just gratuitous. So I stewed over it for about a week. Then one night after a few drinks it hit me, the only requirement was that it was at least 1,000 words, along with some specific questions. I reread the email and confirmed. They did not give any instructions on a maximum length, nor any instructions on formatting or content beyond those questions. I cracked open my laptop, found the longest presentation from the orientation, and got to work. I set about essentially writing a line-by-line transcript of a 50-minute presentation. I rambled for pages about anything from the signing of the Declaration of Independence to my favorite childhood camping trip. By the end of it, my magnum opus sprawled for an impressive 12 pages. I answered each of the required questions with a single sentence and buried them randomly throughout my pages of unhinged ranting. I then set the font size to 8, single-spaced it, and changed the font to Webbings. To ensure that HR could not just change it back to readable font or reliably use Ctrl+F to find the questions, I also printed it, scanned it, and sent it as an image file. The next morning, I get an angry email from HR. Good morning. I am informing you that your submitted reflective essay is completely unacceptable. Please resubmit it as a Word document with size 12 times New Roman's font, double-spaced. Failure to do so will result in an immediate disciplinary meeting with the VP of HR. I simply replied, I apologize that I misunderstood your instructions. If you could please show me where in your original email you outlined the formatting requirements, then I will gladly resubmit it in the proper format. I've worked at this company for almost 2 years now. I have yet to even see the VP of HR, let alone have a disciplinary meeting with him, her. I recently ran into a brand new employee who also managed to miss his orientation. According to him, HR was very specific that his response was to be no more than 1,500 words in size 12 times New Roman font. I then set the font size to 8, single-spaced it, and changed the font to Webbings. To ensure that HR could not just change it back to readable font or reliably use Ctrl+F to find the questions, I also printed it, scanned it, and sent it as an image file. I am imagining Palpatine in the background giving you ideas how to unsee this. Good. Good, let the hate flow through you. If I was the HR person, I'd bust up legging, mark it as complete, and go on my way. Sometimes HR people need to take a chill pill, or 100, and relax a little. A plus on your MC. Sorry, but the first quality of becoming an HR professional of any ilk is to be mean-spirited, first and foremost. HR must want people to act like children if they treat them like children. How are they even allowed to require you to submit an essay? This is pettiness beyond the norm. I've quit jobs because of people like this. When they ask for a word count, change the font color to white and type random letter combos to get to the word count. Not feeling safe? I'll stare at you. Let me start this off by saying I am a lifeguard. I, F19, work at my local college's rec/lap pool. We open the pool at 1, but we usually have to be clocked in and set up by 12:30, so basically just like a regular job. The one thing I love about this job is how easygoing it is. We have 3 people working the whole day, one of them being a head lifeguard. The thing that makes this job so easy is that we do 20-minute rotations per stand. If you don't know, a stand is where the lifeguards sit, and we have 1 stand for each section of the pool, 3 sections. Today I got on stand when a regular M40 came in. This guy is known to ask out our lifeguards and acts really creepy towards female staff/swimmers. I was only on stand for about 5 minutes before he comes up to me and says, in a really rude tone, "Can you look at me more often?" I feel unsafe and I reply, "Sure," in the nicest way I could muster. He gives me the stink eye and continues swimming. As he's swimming, I am bug-eye staring at him. He swims for another 5 to 10 minutes before he leaves. I guess I made him uncomfortable? 30 minutes goes by and my supervisor walks in and calls me over. Apparently, he sent her an email complaining about me staring at him and making him feel unsafe and uncomfortable. I apologized to my manager and explained that he just gets on the staff's nerves and makes them feel uncomfortable. Thankfully, she watched the whole encounter on our security cameras and thought it was really funny. She totally understood. Your supervisor should be speaking with this man and telling him that if he can't act appropriately around the female lifeguards, he will not be allowed at the pool. Y'all's safety is just as important as the people you're there to supervise. Guys like him switch up fast. Don't want one of those. He just seemed creepy, not like anything to worry about. Until situations. Never know what someone may be capable of. Men only want one thing, to be bug-eye stared at, and it's disgusting. Hire some extra muscly lifeguards and point out the creep to them when he comes in again. Have them all stare at the guy saying, "Don't worry man, we heard you don't feel safe, so we'll all keep an extra good eye on you." Not really LMAO, that would never fly, but I hope he gets the creepy slapped out of him one day. Have every single person in the pool area stop and stare bug-eyed at him as soon as he walks in. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.